I said yesterday I weren't sure whether I was going to do a video, but it turns out that I'm a bit of a moron because Ben's unwell and he was having issues getting to bed last night, and Claire spoke to me about one of us needing to take the day off. I said I couldn't, that I had work to do. I was booked in to do some projects at work, which I am and was, and she had some cases that she could push back, so we agreed she'd take the day off and I would go to work. I got up this morning, got ready and everything, was ready to just go out the door, and basically had. And then I got reminded that we had Ollie's parent evening today. And I thought, oh, damn, why didn't I book that off? Like, I should have booked the day. I could have gone to the meeting and prepared either side of it, and it'd have all been great. And then I looked, and it turned out I had booked the day off. I came back to tell Claire the fact that I actually did have the day off, and all was resolved, but she had already cancelled her meetings, and it meant that we were both home. So that backfired a little bit and was unfortunate. It's meant I've sat around watching a film with Ben all morning and stuff like that, which has all been entertaining and fun and nice. At the moment, you might hear him every now and again in the background. He's desperately tired, but refuses to go to sleep. I've just been holding him upstairs for the past hour, trying to get him to go to sleep, and he's just not doing it. So I'm ignoring him at the moment because he really is tired. His eyes are heavy. He's, really, he's just out of sorts, bless him. This is the time he normally naps, so I'm not being mean. He just keeps letting little noises out, and I'm just not going to give in. Anyway, so yeah, we had the school parent evening, but it was midday, 12 till 1. Claire stayed back with Ben. I went on my own. And the first thing I noticed when I was there, the biggest thing that I picked up actually early on, was they were delighted to tell me that the whole school, all staff, everyone there had done their training day yesterday. School was closed, and they said that they had autism outreach come in, and they had a behaviour expert come in, and they spent most of the day focusing on autism and handling children with autism, working with children with autism and what to do. They said that for the most part they were already doing a lot of the things that were there, but that they learnt some new things they were trying. But the fact that they were telling me this made me feel really like, so I don't know if I mentioned before, but last year it felt like we'd touched on these potential issues and we'd never actually got anywhere with them, and no one ever really believed that it was ADHD or autism or anything like that. In the new year, things had started to become a bit more like that, but I still felt like there was the odd doubt in their mind, or they weren't 100% committed to the thought that he was autistic, and that perhaps that was a maybe instead of a yeah, let's get the diagnosis. But the way they were talking today seemed very much like, yep, sorted, we're working towards this, we're working as though this is the case. They were very much on the vein of, this is what we're doing to help him, this is what we're noticing, this is the issues that he's having, this is the things we need to teach him to work with. They covered off a lot of the fact that they were saying he struggles to realise other people have emotions, that he can't understand that they're going to be sad or happy with things, or they're going to be upset about things. He can't understand his own emotions. They're trying to teach him at the moment to understand when he's sad, or when he's happy, or when he's upset, or when he's angry, and that sometimes it's okay to be angry, it's just how you behave with it, and that kind of thing. They did a lot of talking about how that is the focus, trying to help him deal with the fact that he's upset or that he's frustrated with something, because they're getting a lot of issues where he is feeling unhappy or sad, and he's not sure how to vent that. So that was interesting. That was fun to talk to him about, because actually it felt like we were being really on the same page with it all, which I feel like we have been for a while, but this felt like it was a meeting about, basically the simplest way I could explain it was, it felt like it was a parent evening where we went to discuss the development of my autistic son. That's how it felt. Whereas before, it felt like it was a parents' evening to discuss my son, who was displaying hundreds of difficult behaviours that we were trying to deal with, and we weren't sure what to do. So that felt like major progress in and of itself, which was great, really good. Last time we spoke, which was last parents' evening, was September, October time, and they'd said one of the biggest problems with the EHCP was that he wasn't behind in any of his learning targets. But actually, at the moment, they've established that he's behind in reading and literacy, possibly because he missed a lot of sessions at school and stuff like that, and partially because he refuses to really do it. He doesn't like sitting there and writing, he doesn't like reading, and plus when he does read, he tends to sound stuff out first. I feel like that's just his habit now. I think he can read them, but he just sounds them out phonetically first, because that's what he's always felt he needed to do. So that was a bit of a disappointment in a way, but they said don't panic. He's only like working to sort of last year still, and he needs to come up to speed. He needs to be able to do 50 words, and he's not quite there, and this kind of thing. So they're going to work on him intensively to get them up to scratch, which sounds great. I'm happy with that. They said his numeracy, he's actually... I was trying to work out that whether he was bang on target or slightly above target. They worked out he was like 6 and 9 months, which would be like... He turns 7 in October, so I guess we're working in quarters there. So it's like he's over 6, and his maths is over 6.5, and he's not quite 6.5 yet. So they'll say that's good. That's above where he should be. That's great. They worked out. I don't really know how percentiles work, but they were saying that some of them were in the 75th percentile, some of them were in the 94th percentile, some of them were above, some whatever. He was just like they were saying. Generally speaking, his maths is brilliant. Really good at noticing patterns. Really good at counting and telling us the answer to a question and things like that. And again, it felt more like they were saying, which is quite consistent. Not that all autistic people are the same or that they all have the same traits, but patterns and noticing things like that and being really good at recollection of those sorts of things is quite a common thing from what I understand. So it's like, they were saying that fits as well, and that kind of is helpful in, it's helping him do well at maths. And it was interesting talking to him, because I was saying that they said that sometimes when he's moved out of class, he's moved into year 2, and he's helping the year 2s answer their maths questions, which amazed me. I never knew that he'd done that. They're saying he'd take part in some of their maths questions and he'd be understanding it, but he's not great at showing his working out. He just kind of tells them the answer that he thinks it is, and he's right. I said that sometimes his silliness, his jokes come out, and he's like... he'll say 9 million, and you're like, that's obviously not the answer. And he I'm worried about that with school, that he sometimes puts the jokey answer because he doesn't know when it's right to joke. They agree that learning the time to do things is often the issue. I mean, he always wants to sort of hug people or hold hands or play with people or chat to people at the wrong time, or that sort of thing. And they're saying he needs to learn that still. And again, that's just getting social context, which is difficult for him. We mentioned the fact that he quite often, anyone who follows me on Twitter at RB6K will know that I share the odd time when he says something mildly inappropriate, like we were discussing animals and the food chain, and he put me at the top of the food chain because I'm really fat and I eat everything, and trying to talk to him about calling me fat or talking about things like that, he's a bit cheeky and a bit rude, and he needs to obviously rein it in. They're having the same sort of thing at school, and they've started doing this. You need to keep that one in your head to him, and so that's something we've agreed to do at home as well, which we've got to say to him, keep that one in your head, Ollie. Keep that one to yourself. Don't say that out loud, that sort of thing, and try and teach him to keep certain things in his head, those phrases, those topics, whatever it might be. So that was interesting to talk about. We have agreed that I have to talk to Liaise again and talk about my part of the EHCP. They're doing their part already. I'm in a bit of a back and forth because, Claire wants to get their copy first, read through it, make sure we agree and so forth, which makes sense. They've told me to just write our bit with Liaise, do what we can to get it all sorted. They'll get their bit sorted, and then we can send it all off together. I don't know how that works, because everyone said to me it had to be our bit, then they have 5 weeks to do their bit, then it has 15 weeks for the government to do their bit, the local authority, So from what I understand, they're going to do their... I guess if we do it all together, that's going to hopefully kick it forward 5 weeks. Either way, it'll get us to the point where it's 15 weeks, which means that we'd be looking at... If I can get that sorted in the next week or so, then we've got March, April, May, probably June. So it'd be like end of June, early July that they'd be forced to make a decision on what to do and what he needs. I know that we'll probably be all right, because... apparently, if they look at all the case and everything, and they come to your house and they decide what they're doing and all this, that and the other, and then they decide that they don't think there's enough evidence, we can literally just point to the fact he's going through a diagnosis process, and that will then force the law to say they have to do something. So I'm confident he'll get one. I'm pretty sure we have enough evidence in place that he's absolutely going to get an EHCP sorted, and then it feels like we're on the road to somewhere or other. They've said he's had a decent day today. Obviously, it's only halfway through. I don't know what time it is. The clock's behind me, but yeah, it feels like if he can get through the next couple of hours, it'll be a decent day. So they were reassured by that, because normally the first day back is a disaster. They said that he was a bit upset at playtime because people didn't come to him to do what he wanted to do. That's part of how we got onto thinking about other people's feelings. They showed me a lot of the stuff they're doing with him. They got a picture of loads of people that are different colours, and they'll say, how does this person feel? And he'll describe how he thinks they feel because of the way they look. And then they ask him which one he is. So he pointed to this green person who had their head in their lap because they were upset. And he said, that's me because my friends didn't play with me at break. And I sort of said to him, that's, you know, that's something he needs to understand. They don't have to do anything. You know, he doesn't control them. It's not on his timetable. It's on everyone's decisions and all of this. So, yeah, it's been quite interesting. It's been quite good. I think it's been a really useful day. I think it wasn't the intention of the meeting, but I feel like the fact that it felt, like I said at the start, like we were having a chat about my son who, you know, has these things and is this way and that, whatever, and that was a given, felt really nice because, as I say, it's always felt a bit like I'm sat there going, well, yeah, because of this, listen, and not the school have never made me feel like that exactly, but the doctor has, and I think early on with the school we were trying to push this forward a bit, and they weren't sure, and they were just checking, or they were just saying maybe this, maybe that, we're not sure. I think they were worried about putting too much of a label on things. Whereas I was kind of saying, well, this is consistent, that's consistent. Look at that, look at that, look at that. So no, it's been positive. I feel good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we covered off actually. Other than that, they said to me about. I mean, I read through his books. It was quite cute reading it, talking about friendships, and he wrote about some of the guys we play Pokemon Go with, their kids, and he said that we play Pokemon Go together, and he asked the Queen if he could come to visit her in a thing he'd written. He had to write a note to someone, and he'd asked Santa for a phone, and cheeky little monkey. It was interesting reading through his English because I can kind of understand where he's coming from with a bit of context, but it does need work. He does need to work on the writing. He's really good at his science, really good at his maths. Just needs that literacy sorting, and I'm trying to encourage that. He's been playing Pokemon Let's Go on the Switch, and you have to read that to know what to do. So he's been asking me what words say, or asking me why he can't understand, like the word bite is one of the moves, and he was saying bitte, and he was like, what is bitter, what is bite, bitty? He's like, it doesn't make any sense, and I was like, it says bite, and he now understands, and that sort of thing. So yeah, he's getting there. I feel like it's something to focus on. I am going to wrap up. I don't know how much of Ben screeching in the background you can hear, but I was trying to let him cry it out, and he's not having any of it. I need to have lunch. I need to tidy up the house. He was supposed to be having his nap now, bless him. But that's just kids, and they never do what they're supposed to. So I'm going to wrap up anyway. Let me know if you've got any advice about the EHCP process. We just need to work on our forms. She's given me the printout to do, like to write on if I want to make notes before I type it up. I feel very positive. I need to chase up the paediatrician because they're still 4 months behind in all their writing and all that nonsense. And we both agreed, we were explaining it to the teacher together, and the lady was explaining what she'd found, and we both agreed they're very underfunded and very understaffed and very undersupported. So they are miles behind, and it's causing a bit of a thorn in our side. I don't blame them in a personal way, but I blame the system for being pretty shocking. So anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow because it's Wednesday and I always do a video on Wednesday. Hopefully it'll be positive and I can do a video about something else random. Let me know your thoughts and I'll see you then. Cheers. Bye.